Hello, everybody.
Welcome
Happy
to
New Year.
Happy New Year. I am really kind of debilitated today, right now. I've got a migraine.
And I'm
So,
eating a sandwich, so let Melody talk for a minute and let me finish my sandwich.
yeah, he's got to finish lunch. Um, anyway, I'm sorry about this. We're just going to have a short show today. Um, we've got some new stuff that we're putting in place. We've updated to a full pro account, so that's going to help a lot. And we have a guest in 2 weeks, Preston Dennett, who wrote a book about schoolyard UFO sightings. And we know of two, that is, if you follow that sort of thing, one in Zimbabwe and the other in Wales. Um, there's also been one discussed in Australia, but there have been over 100 of them, and that's what we will be talking with Preston about. Um, I'm also I've got a couple of other things in the works, and something for next week included, and we got all kinds of exciting stuff coming up. So we're far from over with, and we're going to take off and collect steam as we go. Anyway, one thing I wanted to discuss, as if some of you saw, we talked about nuclear fusion in the episode notes. I wanted to make this point. The guy who's been yakking about nuclear fusion on behalf of basically the big business is Bill Nye. Let me tell you what Bill Nye knows about nuclear fusion. See my brother over there? He has the same educational background as Bill Nye.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
We
What
just
happened?
lost Melody.
No, I'm here.
Oh. We just lost her
Okay.
picture. We have her sound, but we lost her picture. Ah, there she
Okay.
goes.
I'm coming back. I should be back. Hello.
You're not moving. There you go.
Ah, okay.
Now, let me tell you a little something about Bill Nye. Bill Nye has a degree, but it's not in anything that he claims to be an expert in.
Exactly.
He purports to be an expert on climate science. He knows nothing at all about climate science.
Yep.
To claim he's Bill Nye the science guy is the biggest joke.
It's hilarious. Well, this I've been doing some research. In fact, I've got an article that's going to run in um what is it? It's a publication about the paranormal. I can't think of the name offhand, but it's about the Cornell cabal. He was bragging the other day that he worked under Carl Sagan at Cornell. Well, Carl Sagan never worked at Cornell, so how he worked under him is anybody's guess. But Bill Nye has a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. That's all he's got. And he's never worked with Carl Sagan, ever. And guess who else is from Cornell in that same division? Neil deGrasse Tyson. And he's another sexual harasser who has a long history of annoying the crap out of women in his department. So it's not only Sagan, it's Bill Nye, and it's Neil deGrasse Tyson. These guys have been set up as official voices of the corporate media. So they're full of it. They
Well,
lied about UFOs too.
there was a guy, I can't remember who it was, but he purported himself to be an associate at the Griffith Park Observatory.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what he did at the Griffith Park Observatory is he ran a popcorn stand out front of the place.
Yes, I
and
remember him.
he put himself out there as being this big expert on UFOs based upon his connection to the Griffith Park
Griffith
Observatory.
Park. Yes, I have
Now,
also been to Griffith Park Observatory. Very
that's
nice.
right. You've probably
So
been closer to it than he has.
yeah. So anyway, the Bill Nye. Let's see. Mark, you see, another of his big claims is that he was an engineer at Boeing.
Oh, he
Now,
did. He worked for Boeing, but
yeah.
there's thousands of people that work for
Well,
Boeing.
you were an engineer in aviation, in aerospace.
At Northrop, and I was sort of at Boeing. I worked at McDonnell Douglas before Boeing took
Right.
them over. So
Okay.
I certainly have as much of a background in climate science as Bill Nye.
Okay, well let's talk about nuclear fusion then, since he was able to espouse it roundly. Why don't you share with us your equal knowledge of nuclear fusion?
I know absolutely nothing about nuclear. Now,
Okay, there you go.
and what I have seen with him is he confuses fusion with fission,
Yeah,
which a lot of people do that don't
which is
know.
the opposite.
There's a great deal of difference between fusion and fission.
Well, fusion is bringing things together. Fission is throwing them apart, essentially.
Right. They're both nuclear reactions, but
Right.
in opposite directions. But
Right.
and and both of them can create energy.
Yeah.
In different ways.
Right.
There have been people for a long time trying to build little nuclear generators for people that operate on fission.
Yeah.
But people are scared of them because they're afraid they'll blow up.
Yeah.
But you stand as much of a chance of your gas lines blowing up and killing you. So
yeah.
If you're going to be afraid, you might as well be afraid of that too.
Be afraid of your gas lines. Yeah. Well, anyway, that will tell our viewers, all 0 of them. For some reason we didn't go live. Oh, we
Mine
did go
says
live.
we're live.
Yeah, we're live, but we're not live in. That's okay. I'll post it later.
In YouTube.
Yeah, it's not on YouTube, right? But that's where we
Now-
want our viewers.
Now, let me ask you a couple of questions about the new service we have with the Pro account.
Right.
I think with the Pro account, you can set it up to stream to like several places all live, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So from now on, you guys won't have to wait on YouTube. You could watch it live on
as it
YouTube,
streams. Yep.
but not this week.
Not this week. Because I forgot to click a thing. But,
That's all right. We'll get it. Now, I have a little video I'd like to play.
Okay.
You might get a kick out of this. This is video. It actually started out as 8mm film that my grandfather took at Disneyland. And since we don't really have a topic this week, I thought it might be cool to play this. So,
I thought we were peeing on Bill Nye.
Oh, you want to continue beating on Bill Nye?
No, I'm joking.
I thought we had pretty much pummeled him already.
You gotta have a hobby. Okay.
Well, I think it would be a good idea for us to do an entire show.
Oh, yeah.
Where we have pulled up a lot of information debunking Bill Nye.
Well, I once heard him say on a television show while discussing science, he said nuclear.
Oh, well, the President of the United States, Bush, used to say that all the time.
Well, yeah. But, I mean, Bush, in his defense, was not purporting to be an expert on science.
No.
Now, granted, nuclear is acceptable if you're a hillbilly.
Yeah, if you're stupid.
No.
If you're watching Beverly Hillbillies.
Nuclear, up in hillbilly speak, is based on an old Gaelic word, and it means fire or firestorm. So right. I can understand a hillbilly saying nuclear, but
it is nuclear.
Exactly. Oh my God. Anyway, he said.
I think I said nuclear when I was talking about fission. Oops, it's nuclear. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing to misspeak. It's another to be up there representing yourself as the soul of science and saying nuclear. But anyway, go ahead. Let's see Disneyland from many years ago.
Okay, here we go. Hey everybody, this is Mark here. What I have here that is playing for you is the 8mm footage that my grandfather shot somewhere around 1959, 1960. I am gauging that date, that time, on the fact that my grandmother and sister are in this footage, and my sister, that's right, my grandmother nearest us and my sister away from us, and I believe my sister looks like she's about 15. And my sister was born in 1945, so that would make this around 1960. So I would say that's somewhere, it might be a year later, a year earlier, but that's about right. You can see here we're at Adventureland. It looks brand new. Of course, the park most of the time looks brand new. My daughter actually piloted that boat right there when she was a jungle boat skipper. They changed boats all the time. But I remember at least one time I rode where she was the pilot on that one. And here we have the jungle boat cruise and a couple of alligators. There's a rhino and elephants. Except for the greenery, which of course has grown quite a bit since then. The greenery here was only 5 years old, and it's much larger than that now. There's your headhunter, and some of that's changed in the park. Okay, so now we're in Frontierland. There's the Mark Twain cruising along. Now, this is in the Indian village. You know, it's funny on Facebook. The gentleman that was on the right had the stripes on his shirt. His daughter sent me a text thanking me for this because it's the only footage she had ever seen of her dad in the park. So that's really cool. I like that I was able to do that. You'll see a train go by here pretty quick, and it's a little different than the trains now. They've altered that. There it goes. You can see the cars. They've got like cattle cars, and people are in the open. There's no top over some of the cars. There goes the Indian war canoe. That's my sister in the pink skirt, and my grandmother on the right waving back over her head. And there, I would imagine, is probably one of the ladies from the Indian village. There's the E.P. Ripley, which of course is still running around in the park. And as I say, you notice those cars are quite a bit different than the ones now. That was back when it was the Santa Fe Disneyland Railroad. And now there's two characters you don't see around the park very often anymore, at least not like that. You see Robin Hood, but it's the cartoon Robin Hood character. Now here we are coming out of Storybook Land. I never noticed that before. My sister and grandmother, that's them there in the yellow cup. So I had never noticed that they were in the Storybook Land boats either. Now that's Fantasyland prior to the reconstruction. So there we are at the end of the video. Oh, there we go. I cut my audio off. Sorry about that.
We got to see our grandmother and our older sister walking around. I guess our grandfather didn't get to go on any rides.
No, he was too busy taking 8mm footage. I have the camera that he took that footage with.
Wow. Yeah, he definitely enjoyed that camera. My husband just walked into the room because he thought I was going to take the hour off, but he's now leaving the room. And he said hello. So anyway.
Connor sent a message to you. He said for me to tell you that he is really looking forward to seeing the new Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I was seeing some coming attractions for that.
I don't understand why they took his Italian accent away from him.
Yeah.
And Luigi, both of them, they said it was racist. Well, first of all, being Italian is not a race.
No, they're white like we are, yeah.
Well, they have black Italian people, they have white Italian people,
green
they
Italian
have
people.
Yeah,
but
there's all sorts of different Italian
culture.
people.
Sure.
And speaking with an accent is not an insult. People all over the world, when they attempt to speak English, have an accent.
Well, it's the problem of all of us stepping all over ourselves to keep from offending somebody. And, this is the thing. This is basic in human decency. We all have the right to be whomever we are. We have the right to be our own self in all ways, and to have dignity in that. Nobody is trying to deny people their own place in the world. At least not anybody we want to listen to. There are jerks, but they've always been bigots. Um, this is about wokeness, which is scary and um, extreme, and has always scared the crap out of me.
It's
So
to me, eliminating the accent is an insult in and of itself.
yes,
I
yes,
don't consider somebody speaking with an accent to make them stupid or something. I mean, Lord knows if I tried to speak German or Italian, I would have a terrible accent. And I don't think that would make me stupid. It would just make me lacking in the ability to speak another language.
exactly,
And if you can speak English and you're from another country, you're better than I am because I can't speak any other language other than this one, and I don't do that great a job at this one. So,
well, I took our niece Laura out for her birthday yesterday, and the fellow who waited on us, it was a Mexican restaurant, was a Mexican guy, and he a Mexican American. I'm assuming, and he came up. He says, "Oh, pardon my English." I said, uh, "Trust me, your English is a lot better than my Spanish," which gets laughed at by my friend Maria. So, what we don't also, what they're considering a kind of base level language that wouldn't be offensive is just a flat American accent speaking English. And how is that not an insult to people who are from Italy?
yeah, it's offensive.
Exactly. So,
Well, they remember, if you recall, they wanted us all to speak Esperanto.
yeah, yeah,
That was the United Nations was deciding that we all needed to speak this made up language called Esperanto.
yeah.
And they actually made a movie all spoken in Esperanto. And you know who starred in that movie?
Who?
William Shatner.
Oh,
Shatner talks about it in his biography.
well, that tells you a lot. The I must say that when we try to do this stuff, technology will get us there. I mean, we're able to create amazing graphic images now. Well, we're another maybe 5 to 10 years away from having a universal translator. So everybody relax. We'll get there with technology. And the there's a lot to be said for just letting the apps do it. But I think if we all get a little more um, understanding of each other, we won't need to create some straitjacket of correctness that we all have to wear. And it's as destructive as it is enabling and helpful. So, anyway, the we were what were we were talking about Disneyland. Yes,
Yes.
that we saw the ladies in their Sears zip up their front dresses. I believe they're still wandering around Adventureland trying to find their way into Frontierland, which is not easy. But you basically have to follow the arrows.
Well, like I mentioned in the video, my daughter was a jungle boat skipper there at one
Yeah.
time. She loved working at Disneyland, but The problem is that she worked there for 13 years and left making less than $13 an hour. And, you can't support your family on $13 an hour.
Nope.
Now she's a registered nurse and makes much more than I do. So,
Yes.
good. I am very proud of her for that.
Yes. She's doing very well, and she's out there protecting all of us. So there's a fewer people that have various illnesses. Well, obviously viruses. The fewer we'll all have. So the now I was just about to say something about Disneyland, and um, I have totally blanked on it. That's what happens when you get a migraine, at least with
Well,
my tiny head.
I was going to comment that I couldn't afford to go there anymore, but I used to have an annual pass for 17 years. I had an annual pass to the park. And when the very first year I bought my annual pass, it was $219. And the last year I had my annual pass, which was about 2019, I think, it was $1,400.
Good God.
And they just sold some annual passes for one day. They opened up a sale of them, and they were $1,700. And now they don't include parking. So, and if you go, it costs $30 to park.
Yeah, every
And,
time.
and that's general parking. If you want preferred parking, it's $60.
Yeah. Except here's a lovely thing. We arrived there all ready to pay up to get the premium parking just because, I'm old. But because I have a handicap placard, we were able to park in the handicapped area, which is in premium parking.
Now,
And
I
we didn't
was
have to
told
pay.
I was told that even handicap had to pay the
Nope.
premium.
Nope.
Oh, good. Because I
They
have a
told us,
handicap placard.
there you go. Yeah, they just waved us in, said just go ahead and park.
And before anybody says, oh, that guy, there ain't nothing wrong with him. I had a big chunk of my left leg removed in cancer surgery. So I need a handicap placard.
And I
So
walk with a walker, so
there you go.
fuck you. Anybody who glares at me has got serious issues. But anyway, we're all temporarily able-bodied.
Oh, just to let you know, yesterday I pulled into Stater Brothers parking lot. I parked in a handicap spot, and I saw this lady drive up, and she looked like she was probably 90 driving this car. So I backed out of the handicap spot and moved so she could park in a handicap spot.
Good
So
for you.
I recognize people that need it more than I need it. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing is that the I we went to Kaiser the other day for I got the other part of my shingles vaccination, and we had absolutely no parking in the disability zone, so we had to park among the employees. And this fellow says, "I take my bike to work, so you can park in my spot."
well, something I was told is if you get there and they have no handicap parking,
Yeah.
you can park in those pickup spots.
Oh, really?
Just
Cool.
put your handicap placard out there. They can't
Right.
they can't tow you.
Cool.
And
I
also those EV charging spots, you can
yeah.
park there at Walmart and put your handicap placard up.
Oh, very cool. That's good to know. There usually is handicap parking at Walmart
Hi,
though.
Melody.
Hi, sweetie. How you doing?
Aunt Melody said, "Hi, sweetie, how you doing?"
I'm doing good.
Good.
You want to say hi?
Hi, Aunt Melody.
Hi. I hear you're looking forward to the new Super
Whoops.
Mario.
What did she say?
I don't know. Hang on.
Eh,
Here.
Hi.
What did you say, Aunt Melody?
I said I hear you're looking forward to the new Super Mario movie.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
All right. Cool. Well,
You
I
can
hope
have it
it's
now.
Okay. Sorry.
he actually sounds like he's a lot calmer.
Well, he's taking some medicine,
Good. Good.
and it helps him.
Good. That's very important. I wouldn't know where I'd be without my meds. So,
Just by the way, for those of you who do not know, my grandson's autistic, but he's a very high functioning autistic. He's very intelligent.
oh
He's
God, yeah.
smarter than me. He can do
It's
his timetables up to nines, and
yeah,
for a 10-year-old, that's pretty good.
that's very good. It's only because of Mrs. Myers at our old school that I can do all
Mrs.
of my
Myers.
timetables. Yeah.
Remember Mrs. Myers, Mrs. Smith? She was the mean one, Mrs.
Yeah.
Smith.
Mrs. Smith and Miss Waters.
Oh, yeah. And the nice one was Turnquist, I think.
Yes. Mrs. Turnquist.
Now,
Myers.
I ran into somebody on the Facebook Fairmont page who went to school with you in
Oh
Mrs.
yeah.
Turnquist's class. She remembered you.
Wow. That's in kindergarten? Or no, first grade. Yeah.
Yeah, she remembered you, and she said she went to school with Teddy Blumberg.
Yeah.
Was in the class too.
Ted was in the class with us. Yep. And God, I went to. You know how it was. We went to school with the same group for like 5 years, and
Well, Melody and I went to a private school in Anaheim. We were not rich. Our mother drove the school bus so we could go there. And on our bus was a future celebrity, Rosalind Chow.
yep.
She rode our school bus. And that's why when I hear her now and she talks about how old she is, she's not telling the truth.
She's lying.
Yes, because she was 3 years younger than I am, and she claims to be 55.
Yeah.
I'm 67.
Well, she used to be on the Carson show, and she was talking about how she was. This is before Carson died, of course. She used to talk about how she was 24. Well, she was just slightly ahead of me, and I was like 35 at the time. So,
Yeah, she was 1 year older than Melody.
yep. So that means she's 64 now.
Yes, she's not telling the truth.
No.
But that's okay. I mean, hey.
Yeah, the actresses have to do that. And as our old friend Matt Hall, who by the way is doing much better, he's got his foot in a shoe and he's walking around on it. So that's a big help. His mom was the quintessential actress who lied about her age. So I bet Grayson would say she's defining her own truth. It's not a lie. It's just her experience of her life.
Now, I'm sure nobody watched it, but I chimed in the new year last night on the Facebook webpage in Facebook on the Fan Flak webpage on Facebook. Like I said, I don't think anybody was watching, so
Probably not.
that's
I
all
know
right.
I was asleep.
Even Melody wasn't watching.
That's pretty bad, you know.
When your own co-host isn't watching the show.
And sister.
Yep. So anyway, I have a little clip that I played on that show last night / this morning, and it is of our future guest for the January 15th show. He is an author. He has written some science fiction books, and he is also writing a series of fiction books, or nonfiction. I always confuse that. Nonfiction.
And nonfiction is
true.
Yeah. True stuff.
It always confuses me because you would think non would be not true, but actually nonfiction is true.
Is true, yeah.
Yes. So anyway, he's also written some, well, theoretically nonfiction books about UFOs meeting kids in schoolyards.
Well, that actually happened. We know that for sure because they had John Mack, a Harvard psychiatrist, out interviewing the children, and he said they were all being truthful.
Well, so
they saw something
on either UFO Hunter, one of those UFO shows on the Discovery Channel. There was an incident that occurred inside the United States in a schoolyard also. So, so anyway, let me play this little. It's about a 13-minute interview that he did with this lady, whose name I still don't remember, but it tells it on the clip. Okay. So hang on, let me find that. Where are you? I'll find it. It's here somewhere. Here we go.
All right, so we're here with Preston Bennett. He is a winner for Writers of the Future Volume 35. Congratulations, Preston, and welcome.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so excited.
Well, we're excited, too. All right, so tell me, when did you start writing?
Early on. Boy, I think in 6th grade I won first place for a poetry contest. That's when I knew I liked this. And really started writing. You know, I started reading science fiction about age 14. My mom bought me a book, Clifford Simak's Macedonia. So I not only read that book, of course, but bought all of his books. Wow. And started buying all the other people, you know, Heinlein and, of course, everybody after that. Yeah. And started writing maybe a year or two after that. Little chicken scratches type stories, but just couldn't stop doing it. Yeah, started submitting around 19. I was 19 years old, and that's when I first saw the Writers of the Future book. So yeah, I saw the first one right there in the bookstore.
Wow, and were you writing at that time when you?
I was.
Did you submit after seeing that, Volume 1?
No, I was too nervous.
Okay.
I submitted about a year later. Maybe I submitted to the Writers of the Future initially in 1986. That was my first time, and started submitting pretty regularly all the way up to 1992, and I gave up. Actually, I submitted 12 times and I got 12 rejections. No honorable mentions. I was pretty discouraged, and was of course submitting to other magazines and stuff. always first to the Writers of the Future because I knew. I went to a convention. I saw someone that got an honorable mention. I was so jealous. Oh, I'm like, man, oh man. I kind of felt like I could win this contest. And it didn't happen, so I gave up. And I was devastated for years and years.
Now, there's a story there, and I've heard bits and pieces of this story. They call you Topanga Canyon. Why do they call you that?
Well, gosh, there is a story there, and it shocked me because I didn't even know it. And I grew up in Topanga Canyon. This is where I lived when I was sending out stories in the 90s and 80s and 90s, and gave up. Didn't realize that editors were actually paying attention to me and talking about me, even book editors. And everyone was wondering who was going to publish my next story. I didn't know any of that. I gave up, and I found out years later. I started submitting again. I remembered the contest. This is like 17 years later after I quit, right?
Wow.
And I just thought, I still want to be a science fiction writer. And remembered the contest and looked it up. And I'm like, wow, it's still there. Bought all the books, read them all, the ones I still had. I had thrown away all the books I bought. Kept the Writers of the Future, by the way. And those were the only books I kept.
Wow.
Cried as I boxed them up because I had a love affair with science fiction, and it was over. And it was devastating. And so 17 years later, started entering again. And started earning honorable mentions. Started publishing some stories, token and semi-pro, and submitting to the contest furiously. Got my first honorable mention, and then another.
And what about that? When you got your first honorable mention?
I jumped up and hit the ceiling. Could not believe it. It came in. I found out when I got the certificate, because this was before the internet was super strong, and couldn't believe it. I was so excited. And I thought, I'm going to enter every quarter.
Yeah.
Is what I'm going to do. And I started entering furiously in, it was 2009, and entered every quarter since then. Got 4 rejections right off the bat, and got my honorable mention, and couldn't get past that barrier. I just couldn't get past the honorable mention barrier. I couldn't get a semifinalist. Couldn't get a silver honorable mention. Of course, no finalists for me. What was I doing wrong? I was getting discouraged again.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going through the Writers of the Future forum, which is great. I learned everything there about how to write and be inspired, certainly, because I came on this thread that said, don't give up. And everyone's talking about, I would never give up. And one guy writes, don't worry, I'm never going to give up. I've heard the story of Topanga Canyon. Got a cold chill, because, Topanga Canyon, that's got to be me.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's this Topanga Canyon story? And I said, it's about this guy. It's a cautionary tale taught by Dean Wesley Smith, who's actually one of the judges and was published in the first book. I knew who he was.
Yeah.
It's a cautionary tale about a writer who gave up, who was at the end of the road and disappeared off the face of the earth. I'm like, oh my God, that was me. I knew it was me. I was so excited, but also devastated. It was a really weird feeling because I had a secret identity that I didn't even know about.
Wow.
Is what it was like. I'm like, oh my God. I have to call him, I have to contact him. And I did. He's like, oh my gosh, yes, that is you. And I hope that's okay. I'm like, of course it's okay. This is amazing. And that gave me the inspiration, I think, that I needed to never give up, really. And got that call. I was a finalist, but didn't sleep for, 2 weeks. And got the call that I was a winner. Screamed while I was at work.
Oh, wow.
My boss comes running in. He's like, what's wrong? Like, nothing. I just won this contest. I'm going to need a week off next year. That's what's wrong. And it was the greatest thing ever. I called Dean Wesley Smith up. I actually sent him an email.
Yeah.
And I says, got an end for your cautionary tale here. A happy ending. And really knocked his socks flat off. Second place. Could not be happier.
Good for you. What a story.
Oh.
So have you actually met Dean in person?
No, I haven't. So excited.
He's going to be here.
Yeah, he's got a story in the volume too.
You're going to be published in a book with Dean. Are you excited?
Are you kidding? I am beyond excited. These books were, more than just books for me. They really I grew up with them in a way. And I've got all the volumes. I always pull them out. They're in a featured place in my house. And they're just great,
What a story. I hope I get to be around when you meet Dean.
Yeah.
That's great. So You answered how you heard about Writers of the Future. So tell me now a bit about your story that you won the contest with, Certain Slant of Light.
Yeah, it's really short. I was surprised that this one did as well as it did, 'cause some of the others I've entered were much longer. But I knew I had a good idea. I knew it. I would describe it as a post-apocalyptic romance with time bubbles, is kind of the short sentence version.
Yeah.
But it's about a guy named Walter, an older man who's in a world that's kind of worn out. It's not a nice world anymore. There's been a lot of wars, a lot of pollution, a lot of global warming, sort of a near future aspect of what we're going through now if we don't change things. And there's a nuclear holocaust, and it causes these time bubbles to appear, which are like little areas around the earth where time is frozen. And his wife is caught in one of these time bubbles. So that's kind of what it's about.
Very intriguing. Okay, good. And what inspired your story?
I think I always wanted to write, a time travel type thing, a twist with time. I think that's something all science fiction writers want to do. That was partly it. I really wanted to win this contest, so I was looking for ideas that were fresh and new, which I think is really featured in these books. And the state of the world today. I have a tendency to write, sort of these romance stories about love between a man and a woman. That turns up a lot in my stories. So that worked really well with this particular idea I had, which I knew was a good one. If I could just get the right characters and setting and work it all out. And I finally got the skills at this point to do it, I think. And
Well, you
turned
did
out
it,
it worked
and
out.
you're here.
Exactly. So,
Good job. Okay, so tell me about the Writers of the Future book, and what would a reader expect to find in the book, and why would you recommend it?
I love the books, obviously. I love them because they're so quirky and unique. Every story in there is different. It's got fresh voices, stuff I read the magazines, and they're all very thematic. Analog likes their hard sci-fi, and so on. You never know what you're going to get in these books, and they're always good. They're, there's never a dud in the bunch. Every now and then, maybe you don't resonate with the story. I go back to it, I'm like, gosh, I don't know why I didn't resonate with it. I like it now.
Wow.
So there's something really, I don't know, and they work on so many levels. There's the essays from the writers. Love those. Love the bios about the authors who won and how they got there. So that's really inspiring. And every now and then they put a professional writer's story in there. Also, I love every kind of aspect of them. And the content is anonymous, so that is really cool. The stories aren't being judged on just because you're a big name.
Right. Fantastic. So this year we have a discussion guide for reading groups and a high school unit plan. Why would you recommend Writers of the Future to these audiences?
I think kids would love it. I think it would turn kids on to reading because a lot of these stories are short, they're quirky, they're different, they're fresh, they're edgy, they're current, and it's perfect to sort of bring people and show them a world that they're not aware of. Reading is nowhere near, like when I was a kid, everyone was really excited about it. Now everyone's on their cell phone. I'm like, this is a book, guys. I'm still like the old-fashioned book. I've got to get me a Kindle e-reader because that's more popular right now. But I think kids would love these stories, and it would show them a whole new world of science. The whole science fiction universe is amazing. It's so profound and full of wonder and ideas. And man, I hope they don't miss out on it, really.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so what plans do you have for your future career?
I would love, love, love to make a living as a writer. I do write in other genres, write in nonfiction, and if I can be successful in science fiction as well, I'm like, well, there I am. I could do this. And winning this contest, like, wow, okay, maybe I actually really can. I would love to start writing novels, and I think I could, and short stories still. But definitely want to start writing novels. That's my next kind of big step.
Well, you're on that path.
Looks like it.
Good. And so if people wanted to find you online, do you have a website or
I do.
media or?
I do. If you Google my name, it'll take you there. It's prestondennett.weebly.com. Got some of the books I've published, nonfiction books, and 37 stories I've published, mostly in semi-pro and token. a couple of pro level. And of course, Where's the Future is my latest huge success story.
Wonderful.
And so yeah, I'm super excited. I can't even tell you. This is a lifelong dream, really. The little teenager inside me, like hopping up and down, can't stop.
That's great. Well, we're so happy for you, and again, congratulations on your win, and I hope you have a fantastic week. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you.
I am having trouble unmuting my sister's microphone.
Just did.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
I want to point out for my friends who have won the Writers of the Future, it is not at all linked with Scientology. L. Ron Hubbard's Writers of the Future is a separate entity altogether. And so David Miscavige, who apparently has fled Hemet, California, where his crazy bunch of morons are based, has he's no longer, I guess, the head of the thing. So that and his wife finally turned up. So at least we know she's alive.
L. Ron Hubbard wrote some decent science fiction.
Yeah.
And probably he's most famous for writing Battlefield Earth.
Yeah.
And Battlefield Earth was a good book. It was a horrible movie, but it was a good book.
Well, you don't hand over the keys to the car to a blind, deaf person who doesn't know how to drive. And that's essentially what they did. Just being a Scientologist is not enough to clear you creatively for that kind of a task. But
the main star of Battlefield Earth was a Scientologist, John Travolta.
Yeah.
And the whole premise behind the story, those of you who have not seen it, at the end of the movie, they have a bunch of cave people that fly Harrier jets to save the world. So,
yeah, guys, don't go see it. Just don't.
It's really terrible. It really is a terrible movie.
Horrible.
I do not recommend it at all. I saw it in the theater. I paid to see this movie.
Oh, dear God.
Now, it is not the worst movie I've ever seen, but it's really close.
I was going to say, it's got to be in the running.
The worst movie I ever saw was a movie called Time Walker.
Yeah, that was bad.
The star of Time Walker was Ben Murphy.
Yeah.
You remember Ben Murphy?
Yeah, oh yeah.
He was the co-star of Alias Smith and Jones, which was a Wild Wild West styled Western show. And it was very good originally with Pete Duell. But unfortunately, Pete Duell
committed suicide.
Well, there are those that say he accidentally shot himself while cleaning his gun, but I don't know. His girlfriend says he shot himself. So, but it was pretty terrible, a young man like that. And then, somebody who was a very good actor.
Yeah.
They replaced him with Roger Davis. And then Jeffrey Duell, Pete Duell's brother, came in and tried to save the show, but there was no way to save it. But
yeah,
it was a good show. But anyway, he was the star of this film. And apparently somebody had gotten a hold of a mummy that was mounted to a platform with wheels on it. So whenever you would see the mummy in the thing, you could tell he wasn't moving his legs. He was just like on a platform wheeling by. and,
Oh, that's very sad.
and it was really terrible. It is the only movie I ever walked out on and demanded my money back for.
Wow.
That's the only time. And I went to see it by accident. At the same time that movie was out, there was a movie with Fred Ward. Do you know who Fred Ward is?
Yes, I know who Fred Ward is.
He was in Tremors.
Yes, yeah.
With Kevin Bacon. He was in the first one. I don't think he was in any of the other ones, but he was in the first one. And that was by far the best of the Tremors movies.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to go see one, that's the one to see.
That's always the way.
It had the guy that was the father on Family Ties, the one with Michael J. Fox that played his father.
Oh, yeah. I can't think of his name.
He was in it, and there was a Playmate of the Year that played the lady that owned the store.
Right.
She was a pretty good actress, actually. Despite that being her claim to fame, she was a good actress. So, anyway, I thought I was going to see Time Rider, which was the one that Fred Ward was in, which was a guy on a motorcycle that was riding through the desert and actually accidentally got in the way of this time ray that they were experimenting with, and he got thrown back in time. He met his grandmother and fathered himself.
Oh, God.
So it was very bizarre. Well, he didn't know she was his grandmother until afterwards.
Well, that makes all the difference.
Yeah. So it was very, very odd. So I thought I was going to see Time Rider, but it was Time Walker that I saw, and it was terrible. So we're climbing up on 2 minutes to go here.
I see. Yeah. Well, first of all, last of all, I want to apologize for having to sit back in the chair to do this, but it was the only way. And before I'm asked again, yes, I've gained 24 pounds over the last 2 years, but I am now on medication to reverse that trend. So I'm going to drop the 24 pounds plus 50. And
have you been getting comments? I haven't seen any comments. Or is this somebody
via messenger?
Okay.
People going, "Are you gaining?" And it's like, how the hell do you tell? I mean, good grief! I don't notice when other people gain weight. But anyway, I guess I was so tiny that I crept up a little and people noticed. But anyway, yeah, it's because of the holidays. But that and Linda, are losing Linda, and of course we're still dealing with the aftermath of Melinda and Beverly. But anyway, I am doing much better. I am on my healthy diet, and I must say, medical science caught up with all dieters the other day when they announced that the cause of long-standing obesity is reduced calorie diets.
I've heard tell that they think diet sodas cause you to gain weight.
That also, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well. Well, I actually have lost 56 pounds.
I noticed.
Since since Beverly passed away, I went from 315 to 264.
Yep.
So,
I noticed that the other day. And
and I'm
of
trying to
course,
stay here
good.
or go down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
it's good.
well, we're about at the end of our time period here.
Yep.
Our people watching never went above zeros.
I noticed.
I don't know if anybody's ever going to see this, but it wasn't a bad show.
They will.
I think we should post the Richard Halpern show on Facebook in several different places because I think that's the best show we've had.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
And
he is now going to be a regular, irregular guest.
Oh,
So.
cool. Yeah, tell him we'd love to have him back. I'm going to do something with this in the next couple of weeks to get away from this theme. The graveyard every week.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the old joke? Don't say terminal to an old person.
Yeah.
I forget who said that, but I think it was probably Don Adams or somebody like that.
Yeah, probably.
Okay,
right.
well, we're at the end of the. I'll let Melody usher us out.
Okay, well, Happy New Year, and we have 365 days ahead of us, so we will greet them all together. Well, not all of them, one a week. So have a great one. We'll see you next week, and we actually have a guest next week, not the fellow who'll be with us on the 15th, but a surprise. Till then, have a good one. Bye.